Morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the team at CCDC and GUHO for being here this morning and taking time out of your day to talk about construction. I'm Lana Graybill. I'm the Senior Communications Advisor with CCDC. And as most of you don't know, CCDC is the city's redevelopment agency. And although we're not a part of the City of Boise's direct team, we work with them hand in hand and other agency partners and community stakeholders to redevelop underutilized properties within our community and in our 6 designated urban renewal districts to improve public places. We focus our work on economic development, infrastructure, placemaking, and mobility initiatives. And with me today from CCDC, we have our Senior Project Manager, Amy Fimble, and the GUHO team kind of scattered around the room. And GUHO has been on this project as the construction manager and general contractor since December 2021. And their expertise has been crucial as we navigated the complexity of this project. This team includes Anthony GUHO, Rob Cloninger, and JR Medina. We also have Lindsay Mosier from the city. Thanks for being here, Lindsay. And Cody Holman from ACHD. Thanks for being here, Cody. And yeah, with that, we will get started.
Thank you, Lana. So as Lana mentioned, I am Amy Fimble, CCDC's project manager on this project. So I'm going to start out and kind of go backwards with some background information on the project. I know there's some new tenants and new faces in the room. So I want to bring everyone up to speed first. We'll talk about the scope of work that makes up this project, everything that's being done in a consolidated effort, why it's happening, and then review parts of the project that have been completed to date so you can see where we are currently. And then I'll turn it over to GUHO, who will go through the proposed schedule and phasing plan of the upcoming work between 14th and 16th. I'll let you know what to expect from us as far as communication and support during construction, where you'll be able to find the most current information, who to call if there's issues. And lastly, there'll be time at the end to take questions from everyone in the room. So we hope this is a productive meeting, and here we go. So kind of years of engagement and coordination have gone into this Rebuild Linen Blocks on Grove Street effort. We started back in 2020. We led a 10-month-long visioning process. I know many of you in this room were part of that. And really now we're here in construction, delivering on the community's expressed desire for those improvements along Grove Street. So it's kind of the grand finale of years of conversations, really to just build on the existing energy that's out there right now and also honoring the area's history. The project will be making large-scale improvements to the streetscape by adding street trees, native plantings, improving and widening sidewalks, and incorporating public art. So all of this is really to make a more comfortable experience for diners, visitors, and customers. The project is making improvements to the roadway, so we'll be reallocating space to accommodate all ages, all abilities bikeway, similar to what you see was recently reconstructed on 11th Street. Those improvements will better connect the linen blocks and the surrounding neighborhoods to downtown Boise. So increasing customer access to Grove Street, whether people are arriving by foot, by bike, by car. And we've done all this by forming interagency agreements and partnerships with both the City of Boise and Ada County Highway District, ACHD, which allows the agency, CCDC, to hire one contractor, GUHO Corp, to make the slew of improvements that we're making as part of this project. And that really reduces the impact of multiple years of construction by different entities. So now I'm going to dive into the collection of projects that makes up this Rebuild Linen Blocks effort. So work, as you probably figured out, is focused Grove Street itself between 9th and 16th Street. And it's going to include the following projects. So we have utility upgrades that are being delivered on behalf of the City of Boise and ACHD and in coordination with Veolia for a new water line. ACHD also requested we reconstruct the roadway with a new concrete pavement as part of the project. And then Grove Street itself is a key low stress bike network, or is designated as one. And so we'll be continuing the importance of that by reallocating the space in the roadway to make space for that all ages, all abilities protected bikeway. There'll be street streetscape enhancements, which is a CCDC-led initiative that will install continuous and distinct streetscapes. And that really acts as a placemaking element to, again, build off that existing energy in the area and better connect it to downtown. So continuity of what we see in that streetscapes realm. And then lastly, the linen blocks on Grove Street Public Art is in partnership with Boise Arts and History and will be installing public art along Grove Street. So as you can see, by taking a coordinated approach to what could have been 5 different projects over 3-4 years, Rebuild Linen Blocks is building all these improvements at one time under a single contractor, again, reducing disruption for future work that would have to happen. So that's the big picture of the improvements. Thank you. I will now kind of zoom in and spend a little bit more time on each of those so we have a clear understanding of the scope of works. So first one is utility upgrades. So the project will be installing a new stormwater system for ACHD and install these things called Silva cells, which is a structured pavement cell, which really helps the tree's health and stormwater management. Currently, your stormwater on Grove gets collected into catch basins and then conveyed directly into the Boise River. By adding street trees and these Silva cells, they act as a natural sort of filtering in order to manage stormwater. The tree roots and soil also help treat that runoff on site and allow the water to really infiltrate down rather than going directly to the river. We're working with Veolia, so they're going to be replacing their water line and installing a new water main down Grove Street as part of the road work. So doing this work at the same time means, again, less impacts for you guys. We're working with ACHD to do some traffic signal upgrades along Grove at 10th, 13th, 15th, and 16th. So all those intersections will receive new signals. Those signals were at their end of life, and so we're going to upgrade them as part of this project, bring them up to current standards, and also bring them current to accessibility standards for both visually and hearing impaired people. Lastly, we're working with the city of Boise to expand some of their fiber optic network, which helps reduce broadband costs and increases network speeds. So the next aspect is the replacement of the aging roadway on behalf of ACHD. So this would make for a safer and smoother and more comfortable travel for those who are visiting Grove Street. We've seen over the last couple of years, ACHD has been doing quite a bit of infrastructure improvements downtown. They just wrapped up the 9th Street improvements, a couple blocks there. During early coordination with ACHD, they asked CCDC to do this road reconstruction on their behalf. And so we brought in that scope as part of this project. We'll be peeling up the existing asphalt, installing new base aggregate, and then reconstructing it with concrete paving. So you might be wondering, okay, why are we doing concrete paving? Well, there's a couple key benefits, and heading into chip seal season right now, one of those is that concrete pavement doesn't need future maintenance. So you won't get that 5-year rotation of chip sealing or micro sealing. It'll be a sturdy long-term product, meaning less disruptions in the future. Another key aspect of that and benefit is that it's lighter in color, so you have some of that heat island effect is negated by that change to concrete. The third element, as I mentioned, Grove Street is an essential link in the citywide bicycle network. And so it provides that direct route between downtown Boise and then neighborhoods both to the north and the west. During our conversations with businesses and property owners during the visioning process, we heard over and over how much they valued on-street parking. So we listened, we designed a street that will work for all modes, whether it be vehicles traveling the corridor, bikes having a dedicated and protected bike lane, and then pedestrians having accessible sidewalks to walk on. So we balanced all of those while maintaining on-street parking in front of businesses and still having space for outdoor cafes to operate on the sidewalk. We'll be installing a raised bike lane as well as treatments to improve bike safety and comfort at intersections. So once complete, again, cyclists, all ages and abilities, will feel comfortable riding down Grove Street, and businesses will benefit from those customers or those cyclists being drawn to this new state-of-the-art bike facility. It's also an important linkage right here at Grove and 11th is that it intersects the new 11th Street Bikeway that was recently completed, and that provides that direct connection from the Boise River to the south, all the way up to Campbell's Back Park to the north. And we're already seeing new apartment buildings and hotels coming online, really using that close proximity to those new facilities as part of an attractor as they're telling customers to visit them or they're trying to lease up their buildings. So it's pretty cool. The fourth one is the Streetscape Enhancements Project, which again is a CCDC-led initiative that was identified back in 2019. So there are portions of the sidewalk that haven't been previously enhanced, and the majority of the sidewalk on Grove Street just doesn't meet the city's standards for streetscapes and really needed improvements. We wanted to make sure that we were providing amenities that supported people spending time in the street. So shading, or street trees that provided shading was an important part, and then also providing more seating options. A lot of that isn't present currently. The project will use unique finishes and amenities to set itself apart and create a distinct identity. You might have noticed when you're walking down here, or next time you are walking down some of the completed sidewalk portions, we've done decorative scoring. And so it's special saw cuts that are unique to Grove Street that are supposed to make it look like folded linen. So that was sort of, yeah. Yeah. So this is one of the designs team ideas to make it for the linen district and yeah, give it some unique style. We also have specialty site furnishings such as pet rails that really protect the native plantings that you see are being planted on these first couple blocks, and concrete benches for seating. So sort of a higher level of finishings than what you'll see in traditional streetscape projects. Additional amenities include bike racks, trash receptacles, historic street lights. You will see we're using an alternating street tree layout. So that really, we're planting trees on either side of the bike lane to maximize shade. All trees are planted in this suspended pavement system that we call the Silva cells. Like I said, that helps with stormwater management. We plan to use larger caliper trees, really to maximize that shade right from the start, and to help with Boise's urban tree canopy. So one of the biggest things we heard during the visioning process was that there was a lack of activity after the workday ends. So people would come downtown to work and then they just peel out and not spend enough time or as much time in the businesses and establishments here. So by making these improvements, the intent is that we're creating space for people to visit, to want to visit, and to stay rather than just walking through as they're heading to another destination. So it's important to plan for a mix of uses, and one of those is by incorporating public art that acts as this draw to attract people to the area. So we have a couple public art elements throughout the project, and one of those is art ports. So we'll be having 2 of these elevated concrete pedestals that display rotating student sculpture art. Arts and History has been working with BSU's sculpture program, and actually I've seen the first sculpture is complete and it will be installed in the coming months right in front of the Modern Hotel. And the other art port is on the south side of the 9th to 10th block there. The project is also working with local nonprofit Signs of Our Times to restore and install 6 historic Boise neon signs. And those are going to go on the north side of Grove Street between 12th and 13th Streets. And it's going to be this historic Boise neon sign gallery. So the slide kind of shows a rendering of that design concept. I'm going to try and show a 3D visualization, and if it doesn't work, we'll just carry on to kind of give you a sense of what that looks like. I don't know if it pops up, Lana. Is it gonna? No. Okay, we're gonna fail on that then. Sometimes technology works, and I think we have. Yeah, there's too many things that I'm sharing. We're just gonna cancel it out. Okay, like I said, we're gonna pivot. So a lot has been accomplished since we started construction back in December 22. We've completed utility relocations and upgrades between 10th Street and 14th Street. That was sort of the first phase that you saw come close to your area. Streetscape and roadway improvements have been completed between 10th and 12th Streets, 12th and 13th. The 12th and 13th intersections have been completely rebuilt, including new traffic signals installed at the 13th Street intersection. You're starting to see some of that planting and landscaping going in as of last week. And we're really looking forward to turning over Grove Street between 12th and 13th in June. And then the 13th to 14th Street block is reopening this week, next week. Thank you. So we've made a lot of progress. This is sort of an overall map of the project. This week. Yeah, I was like, I thought it was this week. And so this will be a good resource I'll be sending out these slides and you can spend a little bit more time on that. But I'm now going to turn it over to Anthony with GUHO, who will kind of walk you through each sub phase of these next improvements so you can get a good understanding of what's going to happen when.
Thank you, Amy. So we've broken down the 14th to 16th stretch of Grove into 9 different phases. This is based on a lot of feedback from different businesses, past projects, and experience on just finding that right balance between tearing up a whole bunch and maximizing efficiencies from a construction standpoint, but also minimizing the impacts to the businesses. And so there's a sweet spot there of balancing both of those constraints. And so we've taken that and feel like this plan balances that well. So phase 1 will start at the end of July. This will be the utility upgrades. And so first thing that will happen is our water main replacement. So like Amy said, Veolia currently has a water line that's at the end of its life. And so Veolia is coming in and updating that to new standards, upsizing it for some of the new uses on the block and whatnot. So they'll come in, replace that. And then once the water line is out of the way, we're also upgrading the storm drain. So currently the storm drain line is right between the road and the sidewalk. And so that gets relocated out into the road. That allows for the double row of trees that Amy was talking about in the silvicels. So during this time, a few things of what to expect is all the work primarily is happening in the roadway. So sidewalks will have minimal activity. There'll be limited access on Grove Street during this time. Business and parking access will be off of 14th coming in from the south. During this time also, Veolia will contact each one of the businesses and schedule. So once they replace the main pipe in the road, then they replace each individual service going to all the buildings. And so they'll reach out and schedule each one of those outages with the businesses and work as best they can around your schedules. If you want it done during the day, if you want it done at night, they are generally pretty good at being flexible and minimizing their impact. And so you'll be hearing from them. So that's the July 29th through 11th. Phase 2 is August 12th through the 8th. And so as the utility upgrades start at 14th and work towards 15th, there's extensive storm drain tie-ins on 15th Street. And so during this time, the 15th Street intersection will be closed for those installations. That's for a factor of safety with the public driving and just the crews working. We have deep excavations, very large equipment required to set the size of storm drain facilities. And so during this period, 15th Street will be closed. The water line will continue down towards 16th Street. Once those utilities are in, we will patch back the asphalt to allow traffic to come back in. During this time also, we will be starting the streetscape improvements on the north side from 14th to 15th. So a few things to expect during this time. So on the streetscape improvements, we will maintain a 5-foot sidewalk at the building frontage during construction. So similar to last winter when we were out in front of the church here on 11th to 12th, we kept the existing sidewalk in place. We're doing the work out beyond that, and then we'll coordinate with the businesses when we replace that section along the sidewalk and kind of hopscotch our way from one side to the other. So minimizing that impact and that time that you're directly affected at your door front. During this time, the business access will also be off 14th, and then with 15th being closed, access will come off of 16th for the businesses between 15th and 16th. This is a picture from a few months back on Grove between 6th and 5th that shows a similar approach to what you'll expect to see when we do the streetscapes 14th to 16th. So you can see here the sidewalk and then the work happening with the fencing delineating the project in the public. So phase 3 of the project will take place from September 9th to September 22nd. This will, once we get 15th Street done, then we jump and we close 16th Street to continue the utility installation through 16th. During this time, we have one lane of 15th Street open. So that will help with driving some of the traffic and keeping things accessible. Similar to 15th, once the utilities are done on 16th, we'll patch that back so we can open that up to traffic. Phase 5 will take place October 21st through the 27th of November. So back in phase 4, we'll be working on the corners of the 15th Street intersection. And then on phase 5, during this closure of 15th Street, is when we're actually repaving the intersection. And so what we've done here is adjusted our approach to open 15th up for a couple weeks in the middle to allow traffic there versus just having it closed the entire time. During this time, 16th Street will be fully open and minimal work will be taking place 15th to 16th. And so business access will be available off of 16th for Grove between 15th and 16th. Our goal is to have from 15th to 14th complete by Thanksgiving. Brings us to phase 6. So between Thanksgiving and New Year's, what we're shooting for is that 15th to 14th is complete, and then we're not starting or continuing work 15th to 16th over the holidays to help knowing that the businesses, a lot of your busy time is during the holidays, and so minimizing our impact during that time to help out the businesses. Phase 7 will start after the first of the year, and this will run through February 9th. And so this will be streetscape improvements from 15th to 16th, happening with business access available coming off of 16th for limited parking lot access. But this will be streetscape improvements on those block faces. Then phase 8, which will take place February 10th through the 31st. This is when we'll start rebuilding the 16th Street intersection. So this will be similar to 15th Street. We'll choke 16th down to one lane and do the corners and get that work done in preparation for the paving. And then lastly, our last phase will be our concrete paving of the intersection. And so this will close 16th Street during the month of April. And at this time, we'll do the concrete paving and shooting to be complete by April 30th. So a few high-level things to expect during construction. Generally speaking, our working hours are 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Try not to work the weekends, knowing that a lot of weekend traffic and increased business activity on the weekends. So not working Saturdays. There may be some night work at the beginning and end of the project with Veolia, back to those water services. If it's advantageous for a business to have their water shut down at night versus during business hours, they'll do that at night. And then when we go and do our concrete paving on some of the larger pours, there may be some early morning pours where just the volume of trucks delivering the concrete, it's a lot more efficient to do that, where we might start at like 5 AM. So, but generally speaking, 7 to 6 is when we're working. Business access, we'll maintain that during all times. So the sidewalk in front of your business, you know, you're not going to be blocked off where you don't have access. The couple days when we're directly pouring the sidewalk in front where the actual door is at, we'll coordinate with you ahead of time and figure out a schedule for how that least impacts you, but that should only be a couple day turnaround on that. Another thing that you'll see on our projects that we do a little different than some of the other projects is we really try to limit the amount of chain link fencing that we use. You know, it's nice to separate the job site and secure things, but what we have found is it really hinders the public's appeal of the, you know, it looks like a construction site. And so that's where, back to that picture with the orange 4-foot fence, and try to minimize that and make it as inviting as possible. And so that'll be a little different than what you might have seen in other places. And then lastly, JR and Rob will be checking in frequently with every one of the businesses. And so as we're getting ready to start in front of your businesses, and as we're working there, they're checking in at least once a week, sometimes more, letting you know what's coming up and just opening those lines of communication. And really, they're the best bet for any issues that you have. You know, they've got boots on the ground. We've got guys working. So if there's something that you guys see that, you know, is off, letting us know, we can get it fixed immediately, versus, you know, a lot of times emails go through different channels and it goes 5 or 6 different places before it actually gets to the people who can fix it. So leverage them. You know, no issue is too small, no concern is too small. Just the better, you know, we're all communicating, we can do our best to accommodate and minimize the impact of this project. So I'll hand it back to Amy on some construction communications.
Lana's actually gonna take this.
Okay.
I will take this one. Okay, thank you. So I know that was a lot, and we'll have time at the end for questions. As we mentioned, I just want to talk really quickly through some of the communication support that we're able to offer through CCDC and also in partnership with the DBA. And so it is a priority for us to maintain easy access to your businesses, in addition to what Anthony shared on GUHO's side of the fencing and the communication support, checking in with all of you. So we will have clear signage in the form of pedestrian and bike specific detour maps, as well as other signs letting people know how to navigate to your business directly. We also have regular project updates that get sent out via email that kind of showcase what's coming up in the next phase of closures and what to expect, so you know ahead of time what is coming. And that same information is also posted on our website. So if your customers or residents are looking for how to get to your business, they have an easy way to access that. We're also the other few things I wanted to mention too, and we've been working with the DBA on this, is we're offering this to businesses along 10th Street as well. We are working with the DBA on offering a social media campaign with a social media specific manager who specializes in this kind of work, to do unique outreach to kind of highlight businesses throughout construction, and also unique wayfinding signage that they're working with a contractor on as well. I'll have more information that I'll send out through Amy after this meeting, but wanted to know that there's different options that we're able to offer.
Thanks, Lana. So contact information is listed on this slide. Again, don't let things go, things fester before you let us know. We're here to provide support to you during construction. Feel free to reach out to us, tap JR and Rob. Those are your boots on the ground that really can fix things quickly. But just make sure that you're keeping us informed as things happen. We don't want things to go unsaid that we're not aware of. So if we're aware, then we can help problem solve. The worst things is if we don't know that something's happening and there's a problem. We really want to be there to support you and help problem solve together. So I will be sending out these slides, so that contact information will also be on there. So now we're gonna open it up for questions from the audience. Yes.
First off, thank you for the consideration of taking the break for the holidays. That's a key month for us. I'm with our source gallery.
Okay.
So I have a couple of questions. We do have a parking lot that we have access from our gallery.
Mhm.
Is there a way that people will be able to access that to still park? in our parking lot?
For sure. That was our plan for your parking lot, was that the access would come off the alley while Grove Street itself was
And
being
it was-
rebuilt. Yep.
And my second question is a little off the wall,
Mhm.
but the completed sections look great. And it's very welcoming as far as walking and biking
Mhm.
and stuff. Are there any plans for any kind of party or celebration or getting people back downtown, back to Grove Street?
It's a great
When
question.
everything's
Take that
done?
one.
Yeah, so we are actually planning one for 11th Street, and we could definitely plan a similar one with the completion of 11th Street, doing a community celebration on June 8th. We'll have community partners, businesses there, so that is absolutely an option.
As you
Yeah.
go up down Grove Street.
Mhm.
I mean, I guess I was thinking all of Grove Street. It's-
Yes, once
Yes.
Grove Street is fully complete,
Yeah.
Yep,
that would be.
yep, we can plan
they're
it.
very looking.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Who else has questions? Yes, Dennis.
Between 14th and 15th,
Mhm.
could you tell me exactly how many days or what the time period that street's gonna be completely closed? So we won't have traffic on the
High
street
level.
So
between
that's a
14th.
loaded question. So for your parking lot, what we're
Well, let's
planning,
not talk about the parking, just the street, so nobody can drive on that street between 14th and 15th.
so business access will be maintained during that time. So we're gonna phase it. So the parking lot can exit either towards 14th or 15th. And we're breaking our phasing between the two parking lot drive approaches on Grove. And so from that perspective, there's not a shutdown.
Okay, but you still
And
haven't
so
told me.
work will be going on from 14th to 15th, from July 29th through Thanksgiving.
So what he asked is that on the road, the actual road?
Road.
You're saying there's gonna be access, that's the 5 feet of sidewalk, but the road's gonna be closed July 29th through Thanksgiving on our lot.
The road will be closed to through traffic, and then local traffic will be able to enter off of 14th Street, park in the parking lot, and then exit one of the two drive approaches.
Oh, okay, but the
And
road
then-
itself,
We're talking about the
Just-
road,
just
not
the
his
road.
parking.
the road, so July 29th through what?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
And then you mentioned that you'll take a break, for the holidays, but then it seemed like the bulk of the work then picks back up again between 15th and 16th. Will you be coming back at all to 14th, or it'll be done at Thanksgiving?
We're shooting for it to be done. We might, depending on weather and when winter shows up, the plantings might come back in the spring. But our hope is to get the majority of everything done for Thanksgiving.
In that parking lot that they can access, will they have an access and an exit or just an access?
We're doing our best to maintain the 14th Street entrance and one of the two Grove Street exits.
Because it's very narrow, so it'd be very hard to put a car in there and turn around and go back the same way, and then you have a car coming in. So that would be an impossibility.
Yeah, and that's part of those longer durations is factoring the parking lot access in. It would be a lot quicker to just close Grove Street and block off those exits. But realizing that that would not work for all those businesses.
Probably be a-
So that's why that duration is longer, is factoring that in and phasing that to where we're maintaining where cars can exit the parking lot on Grove and go east or west, during the different phases.
So you're maintaining one-way traffic through that parking lot, basically.
It
Building
would
on
come-
14, come out.
Come in on
only one way,
14th.
Like
and
it is now.
Yes, and then primarily you'll come in off 14th and then exit and go east back towards 14th. And then once the intersection gets paved on 15th, then you'll exit and go out towards 15th, and then we'll pave the section from the drive approach to 14th Street during that time.
So are you saying that at one period of time you will reverse the traffic flow, is that what you're saying, or is it always going to be from east to west? Traffic
Reverse.
flow is gonna go.
It'll be
14.
reversed. You'll be primarily going west to east on when you exit. Parking lot will always stay coming in off of 14th and then exiting
Actually,
off
on
of Grove.
15th side.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
Are you currently on schedule with the other phases that you've done? Have you been able to meet those schedules? And are there any LDs on this portion of the project?
We have LDs in our contract. What has been challenging on the phases that we're currently under construction is the amount of private development that we're interfacing with. And so schedules have slipped in coordination with those projects. And so it's just,
So you won't have that to interfere with. your
It's
work.
a lot more, we control our own destiny versus a private development is their schedule slipping, they're controlling what work we can do in front of them. On these two blocks, there's no private developments that we're coordinating with, so it's a lot simpler for GUHO to plan. Well, I won't say simple because there's 9 subphases, but yeah, there's less outside impacts besides weather. Yes.
Is there an opportunity to put a walking bridge during that construction time between the north and south sides? So that, like, currently, there's a lot of, traffic that goes from business to business in that area on both sides of the street. Is there an opportunity to put a walking bridge so they don't have to go all the way down to the corners and cross over?
we can explore that. That might be a challenge with all the construction equipment transversing across that. But we can explore that option.
Yeah, what we typically try to do is have at least one crossing there. There might be something in block in this particular situation while we work through the phasing lot access and splitting that the way we have to do that. But we'll maintain one north-south crossing on that block at all times, based on what is appropriate.
Yes.
I have the same question he did about the block between 15th and 16th, and when that will actually be closed down.
15th to 16th will be January 1 through basically May 1.
Except for the early
And then,
utility stuff.
yes, the utility work will happen September timeframe.
So, is that close to the street? Yeah.
As the utilities are going through, we'll try to minimize where we're working sort of in a half block and maintain access like eyes of the world.
She's
Will
right
come
next
in
to
on
Eyes of the
16th, and so as we're working more towards 15th, local traffic will be able to come in off 16th, and then as we get down towards 16th, then the access from 15th will be able to come in, but it'll be just local traffic, no through traffic.
And what's the timeline for that?
That's the September, no.
Well, it's September for that early utility work and then.
September 9th through the 22nd.
Okay. Thank you.
And these dates are,
Yeah.
you know, not set in stone, but
Sure.
that's where as we get going and we will, or CCDC will be sending out their updates and,
Yes, sir.
Do you have a rendition of what 14th through 15th is gonna look like? Now that you haven't received the easement for the south side of the street? Because I keep hearing that the city side of the street is the one that's gonna get all the construction, the south side isn't. So do you have a new rendition?
There's a rendering of the south or the north side would look similar to what you see up there. We haven't done a rendering for the south side since the redesign.
But when is that redesign gonna be finished? If you're
It's
starting-
finished. It's
you
It's
don't-
last final stamps from the city
So
are
you
happening.
don't have anything to show us today what it's actually gonna
We
look
have a
like.
plan page that we can pull up.
Ish, yeah. There's not much to show, so there's no sense doing a rendering on that south side, I guess is.
Well, I mean, as a business owner on the other side,
Mhm.
I think the three of us sitting right here, 14 through 15, seems like we're gonna get impacted the most from this project. And I mean, I have a tenant, I myself am a tenant. I'm thinking that this is looking like we're gonna lose tenants and possibly have to close. I mean, I don't see how we're gonna survive this length of construction. So it'd be nice if we could see exactly what it's gonna look like. Like right now, I'm in the process of hiring for the summer. Do I hire people? Do I not hire people? Am I gonna have to close? I mean, I really don't think that we'll be able to survive this. I mean, you guys have a contingent, have you thought about that Berlin and building, that block is gonna lose businesses at this time? It is gonna change it's gonna change the whole nature of it. I mean, we might not be able to have a restaurant, we might have to just close and rent it to an office building.
I think in all of the work that's been done, yes, that's been considered, which is why we've tried to consolidate as many projects and partners together to minimize that time frame instead of, as I think they mentioned in the beginning, having it to be a years-long process to be able to do it as quickly and efficiently as possible. In terms of support, you know, we can help support in the ways that we're able to, and that's really in the form of managing schedules, having timely communication with all of you, and if we can support through other channels, through media channels, we would be open to doing that as well.
Well, I mean, I get what you're saying, but social media doesn't give people places to park. And right now, we're already feeling the brunt of the construction that's around us.
Yeah.
I know that sales are down for all the businesses on our block because of that. I have people telling me, look, sorry, we can't make it to you. I mean, even today, when I left to come here, I pulled out and I was like, okay, wait, I can't turn right. I gotta go this way, and then I can't go this way to get to Oliver Russell, I gotta go right, I mean, you literally have to like put on your thinking cap and figure it out, and if you're a tourist, or maybe someone that lives in Meridian, or like, we're a destination.
Mhm.
People aren't coming because of that, like, I feel like our block is getting kind of the brunt of this. And again, social media campaign is nice, but people
Yeah.
aren't, I mean, that doesn't help people find places to park. Yesterday morning, every single parking space on Grove was full. So we're gonna lose all that plus our patio for 4 months, 5 months?
I was just gonna say something I'm from the modern era. We've already been through this. We're going through it right now. It's been months and months and months and months. I just wanted to say that the hotel, I mean, just for everybody to have a perspective of what it's like to have the road completely, how long has it been? A long time. We went through the infrastructure updates first, then we had several months where everything was just, the road was back and everything was fine, and then now we've been going through the streetscape improvements for the last several months. First, I would say that it was expected to be finished a couple months ago, and now it's not gonna be till June, but I'm just saying that, not complaining, I'm just saying that's literally the schedule, what happened. Didn't affect our hotel business really at all, like, we've had a pretty good year considering. The guests have been pretty understanding that are coming in from out of town. The thing that the hotel side did that I think was really helpful, and this doesn't really apply to any of you probably, but the managing expectations of guests, the front desk would literally call everybody that was arriving that day and say, hey, here's exactly what's happening. I'm looking at the construction, like, here's where you come in. So just like kind of managing the guest expectations ahead of time. I don't know how you guys would do that, but the bar and restaurant has suffered immensely. So and I think that it's because of the construction. I mean, we assume it's because of the construction. So the local business, like from local people, has been less. But since we have the hotel part, that really hasn't affected our hotel business at all, so people are still coming to the Linden District, they're just at the hotel, they're coming from, out of state or traveling. And the bar and restaurant it hasn't been horrible, but it has not been, it's been less, we've made less money. And we have had to cut our staff and stuff like that, so it is a thing. And parking is an issue, and now looking at I'm like, oh, there's like 3 parking spaces in front of the hotel now. Where we used to have like both sides of the street, so it's way different, but also I just wanna say we are really excited for the completion and how this is gonna tie Grove together and make it and it just sucks that we have to go through this for that to happen. But I just wanted just a perspective that, yes, it did affect our business, it has been affecting our business, we think, we have no way to prove that, but it could be the 50 other restaurants that have opened up downtown, and then my personal perspective was that whenever I'm going around downtown, so I mostly just go to the Modern and then go back to the bench where I live or whatever, but when I'm going around downtown, I get so frustrated trying to figure out, oh my gosh, because there's so many different projects, but I actually think that could be good, because it's like, it doesn't matter where you go downtown right now, and probably for the next 2 years, this is just how it is. Because roads are cut off, and if you haven't been downtown for a while, it's like really confusing and frustrating. Even if you are downtown every day, it's confusing and frustrating. So I don't know how that's solved, but I will say from going through it, it has affected our business. But I don't know how that translates to, just the bar and restaurant might translate to y'all, but I'm not sure how that translates to the other businesses, and I would offer up parking, but.
A few thoughts on that, because we've been working with CCDC over 10 years doing streetscape projects. We've done a ton downtown. We've done downtown Twin Falls, Mountain Home. We've worked in front of hundreds of businesses over the years. And what we have seen is how the businesses project the project to their customers goes so far. And if it's a positive interaction, positive spin on things, that's how the customers feel about it. If it's a negative spin, then the customers pick up on that vibe and feel the same way. And so, like, we've seen different things where in downtown Twin Falls, there was a baby store. We were doing the same type of project. Well, they went as far as like adjusting their logo and putting a hard hat on it and embracing the construction, getting their customers excited about what was coming. And, their customers bared through the little inconvenience and got there and supported them through construction. But just that little bit adjusting how, you're projecting the project to the customers makes a huge difference, is what we've seen.
I agree with that. That's what I mean, like with the managing exec, like the front desk, what they do with the guests. People don't even care. We've had we haven't had very many complaints about people at all. And they're just like, oh, this sucks. And we're like, this sucks, but it's gonna be so pretty.
I think you're confused. I think you're not, I feel like you just softly insulted what I said. I'm talking about like actual like logistics and numbers, not, you remember, like, we had an incident where someone that worked for you guys came into our shop after we handed out gift cards to your workers and said, I don't know why you gave us these, because you don't want us here anyway, which was crazy, and we dealt with it, right? I don't know where you guys are getting that impression. That's not the point. The point is like, financially, fiscally, how can we survive this? That's what I'm trying to say. Not saying we're not gonna embrace it, but if people can't come and they won't come, we won't make it. That's what I'm trying to say. And it seems like our portion of the block is gonna take the brunt of it, because like the Modern has already been under construction for so long. We have changes to 16th already around the corner. We're surrounded. That's what I'm trying to say. And I'm not, I feel like you're implying that I'm just complaining, and that's not, I own my building. I worked really hard to buy it. And I came down there when there was nothing. in 2006, and people told me I was crazy for buying a building down there and moving to that part of Boise. They literally said I lost my mind. And I did it, and I worked really hard, and I feel like I'm on the verge of losing it because of this project. I just don't, restaurants don't have the margins to survive. When we barely survived COVID and all this other stuff, and now we have to survive this. And I know, like, I talked to Tracy, and she was sent information, we'll go to the SBA and get a line of credit. Well, it's not really, that's also kind of insulting, do you know what I mean?
Well, I think we shared SBA as a resource and
Yeah,
these are the
that
things that they
was their
can.
advice, get a line of
Oh,
credit.
that was their advice, I'm sorry.
And that's,
I mean, yeah, but that's not that's what their toolbox is, right?
Okay.
So your contact the SBA, that's what they're gonna tell you to do.
Yeah.
And, the packets of information of like your checklist of construction, do these things for marketing, let customers know, like, we're doing those things, of course, we're doing those things. I love the idea of collaborative marketing, and I love the idea of a positive spin on it of like, because if you say like, oh, we're under construction, but come to our business, people just associate construction with being frustrating to
Yep.
get to.
Yep.
As opposed to like, hey, there's some amazing businesses in this area, this is what they're doing, come check it out. I think that will go a long ways to keeping that like positive vibe, and I do agree with the construction that you were mentioning. From a lot of what we've heard from our customers is they're not as, construction is all around us, so it's not like, oh my gosh, you guys are so hard to get to, it's everywhere is so hard to get to. So that's kind of to our benefit, but I do think it's really important for us to understand exactly the length of time that we're gonna be under construction, and if the project scope or timeline of your current phase has slipped by a couple of months, that will put us, if you're planning to end in November, that's gonna put us through the holiday season. So we just wanna really understand like how much time is gonna be disruptive to business so that we can plan accordingly, and so that we understand like if it slips, are you guys gonna stop right there at the holidays and then pick back up in January, or is it just gonna kind of eke into the winter season?
We are gonna do our best to hold those dates, and part of the overall approach to this and why we're starting, when we're starting, is to get the work on this side done and really be able to focus resources on those blocks and to make that as efficient as possible. But we are digging up the road, and there's always unknowns, you know, right out front of these buildings, we dug up an old fuel tank. And so, you know, didn't show up on any records, anything, but, you know, we can't just bury it. And so we had to, you know, stop, get proper permits to remove it, do testing and all that. And so there's always unknown uncertainty, but that's where we'll do our best to communicate to you guys where we're tracking. And then if we need to pivot and adjust, and, you know, we're gonna do our best to make where you guys have Thanksgiving to Christmas as, you know, that open and minimal impact and nothing going on. And so, it's hard to say exactly, you know, what will come up, but we're gonna give it our best. And I think just communication, you know, we'll do our best to communicate, and you guys help us communicate, you know, with what you're seeing, what's working, what's not. I think, you know, back to the access and, you know, having parking and whatnot, that's where CCDC does a great job providing maps. We can take that even further and, you know, provide more maps, provide them more frequently, adjust them micro, you know, down to each individual business, but provide you guys with as much information to get out to your customers where, you know, here's where to park if you're going to this business, or here's some options. And, you know, I think if you, at the end of this, you look at all the investment happening on Grove Street, and, you know, a lot of that is to CCDC's vision on this whole project. And, you know, they saw the potential of the Linden districts and the whole Grove Street corridor and put this vision out there. And, you know, all these different developments are happening. And, you know, once we get through this, you know, there's hundreds of new customers, you know, walking, biking distance from your businesses that, you know, weren't there before all this. So
Can I, sorry, real quick, what is your, Sarah?
Big city coffee.
I first want to like acknowledge what you're saying. Yes, it is a difficult moment in time, and so I hope you like, we will be partners to you in however way we can. I think the partner marketing is a really good example of that, and we can continue conversations as well. In addition to Guho checking in with you, you have CCDC also who can help support you in any way. And then I just want to, I know we have like 1 minute left, and Lindsay from the city had a couple of ideas to share as
Can I
well.
say, like, so we're gonna lose our busiest time of the year. The summer into the fall, so, and you said like, you know, CCDC is making an investment into the Lynn District. Well, Dennis made an investment into the Lynn District by buying a building, and so did I, without the help of CCDC or the vision of anybody else. Like, we did that on our own, and we paid our own money to do that and make the improvements. I paid for the improvements on my building myself. I'm the one that took the risk, and now my risk is in your guys' hands, and I feel like I'm at the risk of losing it because of it. And, you know, the Modern is a destination. Coming and staying in a hotel room is different than walking into Tracy's retail store and buying something and coming down to our place. I mean, yeah, the street's gonna be beautiful, and it's gonna have trees and plants, but it's also gonna have like a fourth of the parking that it had before. So, I mean, we can't always assume that everyone's gonna walk everywhere. That's just. So,
Yes.
And, couple quick questions, the slides, I know that the schedule is fluid, just by the nature of these projects. But the slides that you showed us, do we have access to those?
Yes, I'll be sending out a PDF copy of those, as well as the recording we recorded this
Okay,
presentation.
Two other things, I'm on the Polo, which is between 15th and 16th on the south side of parking. So, and I'll be asking the contractor that's doing Station 5, this question, who hopes, oh, you've done that? You know, at this point, right there, has anyone talked to them about when they're opening access on the 16th, on the alley, on the 16th Street end?
We have not checked in with them. We have
Now that I-
coordinated with the ACHD project that's currently doing front 15th and 16th. And so our schedule correlates as they move westbound, we're overlapping or not overlapping with them. And so that has been coordinated.
Well, I know Powers got our alley shut at 15th last week and this week. They'll be reopening that, I think. But I don't have a lot of concern about whether we've got some dovetailing between your schedule and when Station 5 can get that 16th Street alley open. And that's, now that I have this much of a schedule, I've got some more, I've got enough information to ask those questions. I just want to comment on Sarah's points, just briefly. I sympathize with her. We're both in the food industry, and which in and of itself, I mean, everybody works hard, every business is difficult, but you've got to flunk a sanity test to be in the food business. And I'm trying to get all my kids out of it, but it can kill you. But we're all in it because we love it, and it's enough of a challenge to try and keep your head above water and make it profitable and successful without having to push against the river. So I totally sympathize with her situation. I will say this, trying to take a step back and, and we have, this coming up against this sort of thing as a small business person, it's scary. And so I completely sympathize about that. But when COVID hit, my wife looked at me and said, what are we going to do? And I said, the country won't let everybody fail, we're going to be fine. And I know that projects like this can be the death knell to a business. But at least in Sarah's case, big city's an institution. You're not going to fail, and people will step up. You've had challenges in the past that you've drawn on social media, found out how much support you have in the community. And there's all sorts of creative things that can be done to try and mitigate some of this. But I believe in your operation, and I know your customers do. That said, I recognize we're looking at the same thing. We've got a staff of 16 people. We're going to be down to 12. I'm going to be having a private conversation with Modern about what her numbers are. When we go in there, when our family goes in there and eats dinner, we order the entire menu.
Yay.
I'm not kidding. But, so, and I have heard anecdotally stories from other businesses that have been impacted by the Grove Street project that have moved to Eagle or about to or whatever. We all navigate these things differently. And it's gonna be, less than a thrill ride, but, you know, we'll pull together and we'll, so,
Thank you for saying that.
Yes, Tracy.
Will we have an opportunity to have a follow-up conversation and plan out that access from our parking lot and how that's gonna happen?
Yeah, so the sort of the thought was this meeting laid out sort of the master plan and the direction we're going. Taking some of the feedback we've gotten, we're gonna tweak things, fine tune it, detail everything out, and then we can have another group meeting or meet with sort of per block face and go through the details and really fine tune that and do our best to accommodate, you know, everything we can. And, you know, I can't communicate enough, just let us know as much, you know, no details too small, no, you know, there's countless times that, you know, over the years that Rob will get a phone call, hey, we've got some event here in 2 weeks, and we'll adjust how we're approaching things and accommodate that event, or, you know, make sure that certain things are done, or, you know, slow down on things and just slightly tweak things. So the more we know, we can do our best to support you any way we can.
I was just gonna say, since we've been through it, or going through it, that's true. He's not lying. And I would say that, as frustrating as it's been, and we've had our moments, that Polly, who works at the front desk, or who's the hotel manager that you guys might know, she will march herself right out there and be like, hey, you guys aren't supposed to be here right now, or blah, blah, blah. And then she calls Rob, and she calls JR, and she calls Anthony, and they just like immediately deal with whatever it is. And that would be my suggestion, is if something's going like not how you expected, or it's really disruptive or whatever, like let these guys know immediately. Don't wait, because they'll do something right away about it. And if you wait, it just kind of, you know, doesn't really do anything, but they are really good at communicating, and they do take care of stuff like right away.
I do want to give Lindsay a quick moment too, to share kind of from the city perspective.
Yeah, just a few, I hear all the thoughts and concerns as we get them from the city as well, and I wish we had money that we could support businesses or whatever, but we're doing what we can. One other thought I was just thinking about, you know, a couple of other hotels are opening in this area, focusing on some sort of pamphlet that we can also give a check-in, maybe like how to navigate and highlight each of your businesses.
Oh, yeah, I was just thinking that, we need to make a little, I can already have that, and I'm
That's
embarrassed
something
we don't,
easily
but-
that I think us and CCDC can partner on. Okay, that makes it, we could just block during that time, update it as we go through phases, so just one thing that I think we can easily put together and offer for each of your residents checking in at each of those hotels.
And we have
Yeah.
those relationships with those private developments. So I had the same
That
thought
would be great.
yesterday.
Sarah and I have been trying to execute that idea for a long time, but it's hard to get like all the businesses together. And then also we got like some pushback of like, well, this hotel doesn't want to put that in there, or this hotel doesn't want to.
We will.
Like, so, yeah.
So, I mean, like, as a little, because really technically, you guys, we're the actual blocks, no offense.
The OG, yes.
And, I was kind of thinking the same thing, and I was like, oh my God, I don't want to bring it up because I'm so embarrassed I don't already have this. But having like a map just of our like couple, 3 blocks there from like 13th to 16th, like yours, you know, to give to people that check in or have in the lobby, like, I mean, that could at least get the hotel guests that we have getting more around the neighborhood than maybe they do right now, because they might be like, oh, look at construction, and head the other way. But we'll just be like, no, and like, I can have the front desk, like, just really like make sure to, when people ask about stuff, to try to push them y'all's direction as opposed to the other direction. And also, I was gonna say, I agree about Sarah, it did not even occur to me that Big City would be affected by this at all, because it's the most popular place as far as I can tell, but. And it's amazing.
No, the liquor store.
But you will be.
The liquor store already, always has a ton of traffic. Maybe you guys can route the access to the liquor store around the front of all the other buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I want to be mindful of time also, and so just to kind of wrap what Lindsay said, you do have access to us as well. I'm in communications, Lindsay is in communications with the city. The DBA couldn't be here, but they're a big part of this as well. So we're happy to brainstorm, come up with ideas, whether that's putting that pamphlet out at all the businesses as well, hotels online to help people navigate, and just all of those opportunities to bring attention to your businesses and bring in customers. We are happy to talk about that, brainstorm and support that. So I hope you all got all of our contact information. And then if anything comes up after this meeting, please feel free to email us and we will be happy to get together, chat, connect.
There's your contact.
It is
Yeah,
not there, but I have my card. I am 6 weeks new to CCDC, so, but yes, I have a card that I'm happy to share.
And then when are we gonna get the rough draft of the new rendition?
Can show you something.
Here's a plan sheet we can look at. We didn't do renderings for the whole project, like block by block. It's just something we didn't do. We picked a spot and we did, this is what the typical streetscape section is. And
I
so,
mean, we've seen what it looked like, what it was supposed to look like, but I just, for my own peace of mind,
Yeah.
I think we'd like to see what.
let's open a plan sheet here after we wrap this up, if you have a chance to say. Yeah.
Lines.
The striping sheet might be good one. There is a 2-page project flyer. I printed off extra copies if you want to take a couple to have in your business. So if people have questions, it's like, this is what's coming. It has the project webpage on there as well. And then there's some business cards up there. If you haven't had a chance to sign in, please do so. Make sure that your contact information is part of our email list.
Yes.
Thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.